Welcome. In this brief overview, I have the opportunity to share with you the importance of creating learning environments where social emotional engagement is literally the fuel for learning. While our ultimate goal is to achieve academic access and to improve outcomes in academics such as literacy, math skills, science, and so forth, the truth is a learner has to pay attention to their teacher and their peers, has to find them interesting, predictable, even captivating in order to listen, attend, imitate, and take instruction. And so we need to think about how do we fuel learner engagement? The social emotional engagement knowledge and skills approach is focused on that not only for our learners in the classroom, but also for our teachers. How we design our professional learning is completely consistent with this as well. We want our teachers to find each other interesting, captivating, and to be able to be inspired by one another in their professional learning, to develop mentorship relationships that inspire and challenge to build on self efficacy. So, in this overview, I wanted to share with you the why of Seeks, the what of Seeks, and the how of Seeks. The why begins with why do we benefit from measuring and addressing student engagement? Social engagement provides the fuel for learning. It provides the neurochemistry for us to turn our brains on and be open to new experiences and new learning. We each have a brain, which is our engine, and it's fueled by this neurochemistry of oxytocin, dopamine, and opioids. How do we get that stuff? When we're interacting with people, if we are genetically inclined, we're going to get a release of something called dopamine. If you're not sure what dopamine is, it's totally dope. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that basically says, crave this, want this, get more of this. And when we're interacting with people, we get releases of dopamine in our brain. We also get releases sometimes of something called opioids, the free kind, no prescription necessary. It's the kind of stimulant that you get when you're interacting with people, with your peers, with your other colleagues. You're going to get stimulated by that, the dopamine and the opioids. But there's something that comes from outside of us, and that's called oxytocin. It's a hormone that teachers and peers and colleagues send to one another. It floats through the air, actually breaks through the blood brain barrier, stirs onto your dopamine and opioids, and creates what I refer to as an oxytocin mixed cocktail from heaven. Oxytocin is an attractant. It says be in the social role, learn, crave, orient toward people, seek people out, and then ultimately maintain those social relationships by connecting with others, by learning academics, by succeeding in a wide range of social contexts and environments. How do we capitalize on this idea of the oxytocin cocktail? We need to recognize that as teachers, for our students, we fuel the brain. With that oxytocin cocktail through relationships and connections, we can help our students turn their brains on and pay attention and connect in the classroom. So in our SEEKS framework, we actually measure this. We have a freely accessible tool that measures the three elements of active engagement: investment, independence, and initiation. If you see all of those eyes, it's very likely there's a full dose of oxytocin cocktail flowing and the lights in the brain are on. We need to diagnose for our instructional design by determining whether a given lesson is fostering engagement. So we have a freely accessible rubric that looks at, are our learners in this particular lesson at a no focus level, an emerging fleeting, partially engaged, mostly engaged, fully engaged? We can get averages across large groups of students, or we could look at an individual student with this tool. Shifting to the what of SEEKS is how do we do that? Once we know where our students are in terms of their engagement levels and we have that data to guide our instruction, we need to think about what are we doing to maximize opportunities for access to the learning environment? Are we designing instructional delivery that enhances engagement? We have our teachers reflect quite frequently whenever you see a student at a 2 or higher on that engagement level. They're either partially, mostly, or fully engaged. We need to reflect and build on our self efficacy. We've done something that has led to their level of investment, independence, and initiation. Now we need to look for opportunities then to increase engagement when we see zeros and ones, or when we see twos and we want to get them up to the threes. We think about and reflect on the strategies that we already use in our classroom to foster engagement. We recognize that when we're getting the emotional hook with our content standards, making a meaningful connection with the learner, we're fostering engagement in multiple ways, and that's going to get their investment. We also recognize if we want our students to be independent, we are likely providing information in multiple ways. So we're not just verbalizing, but we're using tactile, hands-on materials, role play, visual supports, consistent routines, and repetition. Some of those tools help students with being more independent. And finally, with encouraging expression, we need to make sure our students have multiple modes and ways to show what they know, and opportunities as well. Whether we're talking about children who are not yet even talking, we're talking about their facial expressions, assistive technology, or children who are conversational, having frequent opportunities for turn and shares and opportunities to show what they know through a variety of modalities. This is very consistent with something called a Universal Design for Learning framework. The SEEKS framework ensures that we're implementing these UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, domains of instruction in a manner specifically designed to a learner's developmental level. So we understand that not all learners in our school districts or our schools are speaking yet or have symbols. So they might be at that before words language stage. They might be at emerging language or English as a second language and struggle with attention in the classroom. And they might be at the conversational stage. The way that we get the emotional hook, provide information, and foster expression might differ as a result. That's the what of engagement, is learning about how do we apply the Universal Design for Learning framework at the developmental language levels of our students. The how now shifts to how do we build capacity? How do we sustain this work? How do we ensure that we're really inspiring teachers and building on their self-efficacy, and that this is consistent with adult learning practices? Our teachers are truly the fuel for our students' learning. They're the ones who turn on the brains of our students. So when we go into their classrooms to guide them and to give them support, I hope that we are fueling them. I hope that we're inspiring them and encouraging them on a daily basis, no matter where their starting point is. Every teacher has self-efficacy. We start from where that's at and just build to their next level. We scaffold with each of our teachers to make sure that all of us feel confident and competent working with our students. And we use a framework called appreciative inquiry, where a teacher watches another teacher and notices the things that that teacher is doing to fuel investment, independence, and initiation. And then gives that teacher who is being mentored the opportunity to say, oh, I wonder if there are opportunities to increase investment, independence, and initiation. So they're setting their own kind of direction of where they want to go next. They then learn how to collaborate with one another using the SEEKS quick reference to really think about instructional design that's going to fuel the learner's engagement. I wanted to end this brief overview by letting you hear from a team of teachers who finished their first year of using the social emotional engagement knowledge and skills approach to mentor one another to fuel learner engagement in their classrooms. They're reflecting on the process in front of their entire school so that they can recruit and generate interest in their peers to start spreading it around the entire school by year 2 and year 3. So this is their reflection on how it felt to be a part of a SEEKS mentorship team.
What would you want to say to someone starting the SEEKS process next year?
Don't be afraid. I mean, it's not another thing you put on your plate. It's not something else to have to worry about. And it's not anything but positive. And I don't want to make it sound like it's a bunch of warm fuzzies, but it sort of is. But it's positive feedback, and it's not so overwhelming that you can't actually use it and make it work for you. Does that make sense?
And part of the reason that it works is because it met my needs, and I got to decide what those needs were and how they could be met.
Yeah.
It's like just very safe. It can be intimidating having people come to your class and watch you, but this was like so well done. It was completely the opposite of the walks I had at my old school. They called them accountability walks, where 6 people would come in with a clipboard and write down what you were doing wrong. This was the opposite. It was kind of like people noticing what you're doing right and building on that, and then asking you what you want feedback on.
And as you can see from those teachers, that their sense of self-efficacy, their confidence, and their investment in the approach itself, where they're sharing it out, saying, come on, join us, this is the way to go about this. We can create learning environments for all of our learners, our students and our teachers. The way that this truly sustains is teachers get addicted to this and they want to share it with their colleagues. The idea is we can increase investment of our learners by providing engagement in different ways. We can increase independence by providing information in different ways, and increase initiation by giving lots of opportunities and multiple means of action and expression. If you'd like to learn more, my email address is right here, and there are freely accessible materials at the website that you see here on the link. Thank you for listening, and I hope that we're off there fueling our learners.